Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Jonel Tenorio, and welcome to this webcast. I would like to kind of share, some experience on ERP applications, and I thought of building this webcast. It was, because I've been fortunate to be able to implement JD Edwards, NetSuite, Oracle Cloud, and Fusion applications. And I hope I'll be able to, get my message across. As I've gone through with all this implementations and systems management projects. I've done a lot of presentations on, techno-functional integration, cloud, end-to-end stuff, with, kind of like pulling in from my industry knowledge on a variety of companies and shops that I worked for and I worked with the past, so many years. I kind of, narrowed it down to 3 objectives. I was talking to Mike yesterday. I told him that, each objective, actually, we can break it down into a webcast or a presentation by itself. Like I was trying to target a wide kind of, discipline as far as audience is concerned. Like for managers and decision makers, I want to be able to provide you with some tools and fundamental JDE vocabularies, components, and facts to help steer your systems and projects forward. Like some jargons that you probably be able to use as you communicate with your staff, developers, contractors, consultants. And then, for the analysts and business users in the room, we're going to go under the hood and look at the techno-functional structure of how logic, screens, reports are built and run in JD Edwards. And then for integrators, towards the end, I'll kind of touch on data relationships, table organization, parent-child structures, and then, some keys for integration. And if you need to extend the application that you have, plus, of course, a little taste of some of the related E1 Orchestrator stuff. So, this is like probably 2-3 years ago. My daughter, she was looking at the stuff that I do, and she said, "Dad, what is JD Edwards?" Something that I kind of, by the way, those are the slides that I mentioned. That I said, JDE is not Excel, because she thought that, everything is, a spreadsheet based, Word based, So I kind of tried to explain to her that it's an ERP. It is some, it's made up of moving parts, and that gave me an idea on creating, or at least kind of like, actualizing this webcast. I want to be able to go deep down on what basically comprises JD Edwards. And, within this presentation, I would start us with that. Now, just a reminder, this is not a development course or a development session. And maybe some may think that this is too basic. I say it may be for people who has been developing JD Edwards for a long, but, bear with me, there would be, some lead into the, the structure of what we need to convey within this webcast. My goal is to get people to understand what makes JDE work and the solid building blocks, the components behind the software, and blocks with all the constant changes in technology, from the green screen to phones to the cloud and future platforms to come. JDE has and will always depend on the solid foundations that keeps the applications running. And this is to process and to deliver accurate results. And I will try my best to provide you all an end-to-end education of moving parts and key algorithm elements of the JD Edwards engine. Again, this is just kind of like the tip of the iceberg. In JDE, what most of us see are the presentation layer, the top one, the top layer. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Behind or underneath, you will see that there are a lot of cool stuff that runs the app. And then the foundation, basically, that are still being used by JDE up to now, even if we're on release 22. So JDE is solid, as you can see. It's been around. There's a lot of new generation software, but in fact, it's something that JDE would be proud to say that, hey, we have evolved, from green screen through whatever you see now, which is release 22. And I was fortunate to have used, managed, and see them all as JDE evolved from a monotone green screen to its current state, and eventually an intelligent ERP, and that's the goal. So what makes JDE, if you're gonna do an ABCDE kind of analogy, the alphabet for JDE does not start with an A, but it starts with a D, and it's actually the data item. So I'm gonna probably use a cool Lego kind of analogy to get my point across. But the data dictionary is the central repository of that contains the data items that we use in JD Edwards. You will see it everywhere. It's like if you're developing, you're on a green screen, or if you are in our interactive application, even reporting files, business view, you will see data items. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try to use again Lego bricks to showcase the 4 core layers that I thought would be important for us to kind of see and understand what's under the hood within JD Edwards. Okay, the first thing that you would probably need to get into, or at least on the bottom layer within our Lego stack, would be the data items. Okay, 2 slides ago I said it's a building blocks, right? But when we're starting to build an application, we start by creating a data item or use an existing data item. As you can see, this is like the data dictionary kind of a screen you're so familiar with. And then, again, you'll see it everywhere. Here's the sample code. Most of the variables, if not all of the variables, would have some reference to the data item. So just keep that in mind, that whenever you go and walk through the application, you'll see the data items. You'll see them in tables. You'll see them in your columns, etc. And then from data items, right, you can create a table, all right? And as we stack up our 4 core layers, I want to show you how data items from a JDE table is being built. Or on this slide, it would be a collection of data items or multiple data items that can be selected to form a table. Let's use the address book table. Notice how data items are presented as columns now, okay, of the table, right? again, a table, is where the file is stored. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this because I'm sure you know where we stack information is. But if you look at the 4 core layers that I started with blanks on, the bottom layer is the data item, and then from a data item you build a table, right? Under the hood, that's basically what's going on, right? And then once you build the table from your data item, right, you can now create a business view. What is a business view? It's a logical view of table contents, all right? A selection of data items from one or more tables, right? So if you have several tables, or you have just one table, but you want to see a different view or a logical view that you can present, okay? Whether if it's an application or report, we use this to generate the appropriate SQL or filters necessary to retrieve data or transactions from the database. And this is where tables are also combined. Okay, so look here. Again, this is a view from a foundations or a tool set from J.D. Edwards. You can see that tables are being joined to form the business view, and the naming convention of a business view within J.D. Edwards starts with a V as in Victor. Okay, just just a reminder, or at least some background intro for that one. Next, all right. So we have our data or data items. We build a table. We have the business view. Now we can create some rules, and within J.D. Edwards, we call it business functions. All right, and this particular slide, we can also add Java apps. We can also add REST calls. Okay, but the basic foundation would be the named event rules, and of course the C business functions. Right. So again, a business function is an encapsulated set of business rules, logics that can be reused by an application or a series of applications. And it provide a common way to access the J.D. Edwards database, all right? So business function is reusable like applets, if you're familiar with Java or Java coding. And BL is a business function library that contains all the reusable codes. Now look at how we stack them up. So the blue box or the blue brick is one of the kind of like the engine that can actually dig through your tables that is actually based on a data item, right? So, and then after having or building a business function, we need the data structures. What is a data structure? It's a collection of data items that's used to pass data to other components. All right, so you need that engine as well for that same application or other application entirely. All right, and then it, like any data structure, it is composed of data items that are defined in the data dictionary. So if I say data dictionary, you would always kind of think that, okay, a data dictionary is the management application for data items. There's thousands of standard data structures that are delivered, and of course, like any other components within this Lego bricks, you can build your own. You can build your own data items. You can build your own tables. You can build your own business view. You can build your own business functions. And of course, you can also build your own data structures. I mean, JDE will deliver what the applications would use to run, the modules, but it does not, or it shouldn't stop us from building our own, right? And then here's an example. You know, I picked it from a standard data structure from an address book server, which is like a parent-child processing. Again, if you look, the alias or the data item components are all here, meaning you know, the bottom layer of our Lego brick collection is, you know, pretty much in use to build the data structure. And then right after your data structure, more rules, you know, is needed to be able to run our JD Edwards applications. You know, event rules. I'm sure you've heard about this, but these are the codes, the programs. You know, these basically are the primary engine that binds your data structure, your business functions, and everything that goes within your application. All right. You know, for the techies in the room, here are here's a screenshot sample of event rules. You know, the ever reliable logical if else can be found in event rules. You know, I think that's one of the coolest or most powerful feature of an event rule to create a condition, you know, for us to be able to evaluate a certain data or a logic. And then, you know, event rules are native to JD Edwards, meaning if you buy JDE, if you have JD Edwards in your shop, you know, you can create event rules or programs within your environment. And at the same time, you know, this can actually integrate with you know, other applications or application tool sets, as long as you're able to use you know, the correct API or any of the other delivered business function or external business functions that you can actually you know, connect or link with, right? And then from there, okay, now we're going into the layers that we all see, meaning, you know, our users, you know, our you know, consumers of data, and we start with the applications. All right. Interactive applications are composed of forms, rules, screens, and it is the front end interface between users and JD Edwards data and transactions algorithm. A form is the interface between users and JDE internal and external table and integrations. So this interactive interface should present the data logically. So whatever we see behind the scene, or like, you know, we've gone through data items, we've gone through business views and tables. Those are the raw data repository or raw data components. You know, most of our users would probably get confused if they see those raw data being presented to them. Applications, all right, usually would help present those data logically. And it also contains the functions that are necessary to enter and manipulate the data. So if you, as you can see, look at the blue box or the blue brick, those like more engines that they basically are dependent on our business view tables and data items. And then applications, those are the keyboards and clicks, meaning, you know, this is where you interact with the system. Now, the reports, right? UBE, I'm sure you've heard this. I'm sure you've actually either encounter, use this every day, but these are the batch applications. And these are the stuff that runs. It could be a report or an update process. I mean, traditionally, JDE customers have relied on the UBE for data extraction, okay? It's not just reports that the UBE can do. It can extract data, can transform data. Like I've been in one of like a project where we actually used UBE basically to migrate from one application into JD Edwards and vice versa. You can migrate JDE out of it as well using a UBE. You can use standard UBEs and at the same time build your own. Just keep in mind, there are UBEs that just looks at data, and there are UBEs, and I'm talking about standard UBEs or batch applications delivered by JD Edwards. There are UBEs that updates data. There are UBEs that are just read only. And normally, and this may not be the case for every single UBE, but if you see a processing option that says proof or final, most likely that UBE, if you run it in final mode, will update data in one way or shape or form. All right. Now, we do have a lot of options now. We have a BI publisher, of course, the E1 Orchestrator. And if it's not enough, you can actually bolt in some third-party add-on. But from the way E1 Orchestrator had actually dominated the JD Edwards UX1 and UDO features, E1 Orchestrator can do a lot of stuff for you. I mean, when I was conceptualizing this webcast, E1 Orchestrator wasn't really a big factor, but now it is. I mean, and I'll show you some E1 Orchestrator related stuff later. But if you're not in E1 Orchestrator, or if your company is not really maximizing it, I guess you should rethink in order for you to kind of fully utilize what you have, especially if you're on the right or the most recent tools release. Okay, so I added the UBE to our engine, the blue brick, and then here's another one that are probably some that you don't really need to go into any coding or open codes. UDC, okay, or user-defined codes are quite powerful, because most forms and reports in JD contain fields that has little drop downs with magnifying glass. Like, for example, if you're keying in an address book information search type, you don't know what the search type is, but if there's a magnifying glass, icon right next to the field, and you click on it, you could see that there are values in there that you can use to actually fill in that field. All right. So a UDC is one value, or a user-defined code is basically a set of values that are assigned to a field. And we don't need to open or revise the code to be able to include those values onto that field. All you have to do is find the right UDC combination of header and detail or keys, and you'll be able to add a value to it. Okay. Now, the next thing that I would like to kind of show would be versions. All right. Again, it's under the hood of JD Edwards. I mean, these are kind of like obvious to everybody that's using JD Edwards, but somehow we overlook that a version is it's most applications, okay, if not all of them, have versions. If you don't see a version within an application, it means there is really no need for any further reconfiguration or some sort of like adapting to what you do. Okay, so a version is a user-defined set of applications to control your screen or your UBEs. And processing options, data selections, sequencing. This is where you can change the way applications or reports behave. And then it's a tool that you can use to create and process report templates as well. So, that's something that exists for both batch and interactive or screens. All right, there's more, and that's where versions go. It's still within our engine layer. Okay, so now there is something that I actually want to add, and because it's key to how we process JD Edwards, especially when we're dealing with the way we we control where a transaction would go. All right, so AI. Okay, yesterday I was asked about what does an AI do really for us, and I say, AI are rules that define the relationships between your day-to-day accounting and operation functions. All right. Now, there's another flavor of it for manufacturing and distribution, which is DMAIs. Okay, status codes, activity rules. We're not going to dive into it, but okay, AIs are also part of the engine or the layer that runs our applications. Without it, your transactions will probably be in limbo, or you will probably have to define manually where your sales process or your inventory posting or inventory deductions will go. Okay, so I added it to our blue brick because it should be in our our engine layer that is using or pulling stuff from our tables, data items, and business views. And here's just a quick example of how it looks like. I'm sure you've seen it if you are dealing with AIs in your shops. Okay, so now the top part. All right. These are the tasks, the menus, that provides us with a convenient window and navigation into JD Edwards Enterprise One. All right. And if you haven't taken advantage of E1 pages, composed pages, dashboards, or landing pages, I guess it's time to really maximize your investment in JD Edwards, because it's available, it's there, especially, I think if you're online too, you're supposed to have like a really cool, landing page or dashboard within your organization. So, and JDE had actually delivered some of those pre-configured roles that you can take advantage of. I think there's more than 50 or something like that. They don't really need to especially if it's like a simple canned accounts payable manager, accounts receivable manager, it's there. You don't have to really reconfigure it. You can just plug it in, turn it on, give access, publish it, and you're good. One thing that I want to add is business services, because this is a convenient kind of tool that JDE provides as interoperability with other Oracle applications and third-party systems via web services. Okay, I mean, if your shop is just purely bookkeeping and stuff like that within JD Edwards, I mean, this may not be necessary, but once you start integrating with e-commerce, external tools, vendors, web apps, web services, you need this. I mean, it's a server, it's a service. Web services enable software applications written in various programming languages and running on various platforms, basically to interact and exchange information within JD Edwards. JD Edwards exposes or publishes business services as web services as well. Okay, we have APIs that JDE is actually consuming in order for it to interact and integrate with some of the other applications. These APIs are functions that you can use to manipulate JD Edwards Enterprise One data types, provide common functionalities, and access the database. Now, API's purpose is actually to be reused. Okay, it performs routines as well, so you don't really have to recode or code, a specific function if an API can actually provide it for you, like getting data from an application, saving to a database, and stuff like that. Okay, and then this is basically where the menus, the E1 pages, and the business services would go. It's the top layer within our Lego brick components. And as we go through within our JD Edwards, management and maintenance, you can see that the components that are up here would always be in any one of your applications. You can't, JD won't be able to be effective, and running JDE without all these components would probably be impossible. All right. And then I added, REST, and I'm sure you've heard about it. It's an API call within JD Edwards Enterprise One. All right. Here's a full definition. I mean, I just wrote it down here basically, but in simple terms, okay, it is a stateless web communication and transport protocol. This is the basically the engine that sends and receives objects, data, and carries objects to be consumed within a web-based applications. Okay, it could be an audio, a video, an image application, text, data. It's a tool, and let's say if I can have another slide to basically provide what REST is. If you have done an FTP call or something to that effect when you're dealing with your e-commerce applications, okay, it's somehow similar to that. These are the keywords, all right, and these are just the basic HTTP verbs we use to be able to interact with JD Edwards within an external or internal communications or data transport. All right, like look at this example. It's as simple as like get, a post, a put, a delete. So these are the basic 4 functions or verbs that REST is using. So if someone would tell you, hey, we're using REST on this and blah blah, don't get intimidated. It's just a get, a post, a put, a delete. So this is one of the objectives that I actually want to kind of share, because somehow when people say or talk about some of the jargons that we are dealing or hearing from day to day, we thought that it's rocket science. We thought it's something that we can't really comprehend. But REST basically it's a transport protocol. If there are data to consume and pull, it's a get. If there are data to be saved, it's a post. And if there's data to be deleted out or removed, it's a delete. REST does all that, but it does it not just within JD Edwards, but it takes care of it bi-directional, meaning from your system and or to the other system. All right. So here we go. Orchestrator. I think we need to be able to include this in our slide, because this is the integration part. Probably back in 2017 or something, JD Edwards had sent and provided us with something that is called Orchestrator, or it's like Internet of Things or IoT Orchestrator. That's basically where E1 Orchestrator came from. It's like Internet of Things connected to JD Edwards. It's tough to program. You need to be a Java programmer or a developer in order to do all this kind of stuff. And JD said, you know what? I think we need to create or come up with a much more, a user-friendly, an easy user interface. And that's when they developed the E1 Orchestrator Studio. Okay, but essentially under the under the hood, it still does what the IoT orchestrator does, which is running an REST, again, the previous slide, right? Running an REST call between your external applications, external devices, external tables into and out of JD Edwards. All right. As you can see here, there are rules, there are formulas, cloud and web services. We have Groovy, we have Java, business data, all of it, okay, can be and will be part of an E1 orchestrator. Actually, I have been conducting workshops on this specifically for E1 orchestrator to be able to have a like a much more hands-on and look and feel of E1 orchestrator, because if you're going to ask me about where JD Edwards is heading, JDE is going to be JDE 5-10 years from now, but most of our development and changes or extensions to the applications would probably be done via E1 orchestrator. I mean, I'm not saying that coding event rules and the JD Edwards development toolset will go away. It will still be there, but we will have a lot more E1 orchestrator developed organizations. All right, because as I have used E1 orchestrator for at least for the past 3.5 years, there's a lot of things I can do within E1 orchestrator that I really do not have a need for a fat client, to be able to open and add to the codes, right? Because I mean, I don't really, I'm not into going through like deploying and building applications that would be difficult to maintain moving forward. Because, like, for example, if someone would need me to change a particular screen, and if I can do it within a UX1 or UDO with a E1 orchestrator component in it, I would do that instead of going through the codes and adding more rules and requesting deployments, testing. It shortcuts the development process. So the reason why I added orchestrator onto this webcast is because it can simplify what we do. And we have an upper or top layer application that we can use, and it's easy to actually understand and and use. So for our Lego bricks, we need to have some sort of a platform or a binding tool, okay? And this is where your OMW, or most recently web OMW, comes into play, right? The reason why I used the Lego platform as the image for this is that without OMW, without the web OMW, we will not be able to combine, or we will not be able to clip our bricks together. OMW is the traditional fat client change control process or applications, and it integrates event rules, data structures, tables, and everything that we built using our data items. A web OMW is a simple web-based tool designed to manage our UDOs. Now, UDOs are still relying on all those data items, applications, etc. But if you're using the web OMW, you don't really need to kind of go into your OMW, the fat client, because Oracle had actually provided us with a window to see what's being developed, without having to log into a fat client using the web OMW screen that you are seeing right now. And end goal. Okay, so why are we using applications that are that would help with our transactions, right? To provide to run our business. Okay, I mean, at the end of the day, all right, again, all the transactions are stored on in tables, like what I've seen in the previous slides. It's also index and views of the database. But we need to understand that those transactions are not just stored in one table. And I explained what the table is in our previous slide. So when you are integrating into a third-party app, or maybe an internal application, it could be a JD Edwards application. It could be something that is like, for example, like a SharePoint app that you want to integrate within JD Edwards. We need to understand that there are parent-child relationship on most of the transactional tables that we use. Okay, and transactional tables are the repository of things that moves, things that we record. In JDE, we have common tables, we have master data, and we have transactional tables. Okay, master data most likely would have a standalone kind of a structure. And when you're integrating to a master data, you don't have to worry about a child relationship. But there are some master data, for example, the address book, that would have a master address book record, and then customer, vendors, phone books, emails that are related to it. And you can actually import or integrate to any and all of them. Let's say, for example, you just need a phone book or a phone number or an email address. You don't need to communicate or basically link to all the tables. You just need to go link to the table that you need, and using the key or the address book field as your primary key or link. Right now, for example, I'm using the journal entries or the general accounting tables here. All right, you can see that when you are creating a journal entry, all right, it looks at a series or bunch of tables that are needed and necessary to be able to create a journal entry. And if you at the bottom of this slide, you can see that there are detailed transactional tables, there are batch control tables, there are audit tables, and if, let's say, you're integrating to a system that only requires detailed journal entries, okay, you don't need all of these tables, but you will have to make sure that the requirements, okay, would just be like the fields or the columns that contains the detailed journal entry transactions. For example, if the requirement is just line by line integration, you don't need the batch control table. But if there are summary requirements, you would have to include the batch control so that you will have the batch numbers that actually controls or that actually provides the header for your journal transactions. Now, here's another view of the journal entry transaction, but this time it's the post process. Okay, as you can see, if let's say you are being required to integrate just for the transaction balances, you don't need, okay, I'm going back to the other slide, you don't need your journal transaction table to link or to be included in your extract. You just need your account ledger balances table, okay, because your account ledger balances table contains the summarized period by period and maybe some yearly postings of transactions that occurs within your organization. Okay, so what's my point here? I mean, when you're integrating, there are tables that has to be looked at, but at the same time, you should not get overwhelmed on what those tables are, are running the application. And I made a simple example from a journal entry process because, it is a classic example that has a parent and a child relationship, plus all the other accessory tables that comprise a general accounting or a journal entry posting and recording process. Okay, so look at the requirements and then only obtain or only extract or integrate based on the need, and take it from there. All right, so I got 5 minutes or 4. I want to give you a quick orchestrator integration slide so that or you can actually get a good feel of what we can use right now, or what is the most current tools within JDE that you can actually take advantage of to integrate a web service, a data export or import to your JDE applications. If you look at this one particular slide, the REST calls is right next to the orchestrations, okay? Orchestrations process. And towards the right side of the image is all your JD Edwards enterpriseone servers and services, okay? In between, right now, you have Orchestrator, E1 Orchestrator to do all the integrations for you. In the past, you have to do this manually, or create like a UBE, or you create like a C business function to perform all this. Not anymore, okay? If you have an orchestrator or an E1 orchestrator in your shop, right, you can do all this by dragging and clicking and building your own orchestrator, but you need to have an E1 orchestrator or a service within your applications. Okay, so here's an example. It's a widely used process where a spreadsheet, let's say for example you're onboarding an employee, but it's coming from a spreadsheet, sales order spreadsheet, a inventory spreadsheet. You can actually connect a spreadsheet to JDE, extract, pull information, save into using an orchestrator. All right, I'm not going to go into all the details of this, but it's possible. It can happen, and we are doing it. Actually, we're using. I got one project where an invoice comes in from a spreadsheet, and all we do is actually click an orchestrator button, and it goes into the sales order process or sales order application. Okay, one more slide. Salesforce. Okay, future of ERP. All right, not too long ago, I mean, speakers would be talking about upgrades. Now we're talking about E1 Orchestrator, because they want JD Edwards to be an intelligent ERP. Okay, and then I'm gonna leave you with this slide. All right, so this one particular slide would be something that you need in order to have a really good integration mechanism. All right. So it's a bit technical, but all you need to do, or all you need to be able to run an orchestration to integrate your applications within JD Edwards, is an AIS server. That basically is the key to to integrate JDE within your applications. I would leave the minute for questions, but I believe this ends my slides. I kind of rushed through the end of it, but Mike, all yours again.
Yeah, what we do is we do have a couple questions, but if you need to go ahead and leave, feel free to go ahead and leave. This webinar will continue, and we will upload it tomorrow in its entirety. So if you'd like to stay but don't have time, this will be available on our website tomorrow, and you could catch the tail end of it. So we'll just go ahead and continue then. Especially want to thank everyone who stayed this long and are willing to stay on. That's great. Again, there's just two questions. One is, how is Oracle aligning JDE Enterprise 1 with the rest of its application suites?
Okay, 2 words for you, or actually 3 words. Release 22. All right. If you've been following Oracle BS or NetSuite, they have been calling their releases based on the year, release 22 or 22A, B, C for EBS, and then 22.1 or 22.2 for NetSuite. JDE, the 9261 is now called release 22 because they would be using this jargon or these conventions for from now on moving forward. So it means that they're aligning the JD Edwards with NetSuite, with EBS, with Fusion, etc.
Okay, great. And really the last question is, someone asked, what application or technical areas should we focus to maximize our investment in JDE? I know that can mean a lot of different things to different people, but is there a good way to answer that? An application or technical area should we focus to maximize our investment in JDE?
I was actually pounding on it the last few slides. It's called E1 Orchestrator.
Okay.
That's where we need to focus our energy on. I mean, if you want to be valuable somewhere, I'm sure all of us are basically, kind of like helping our companies right now. But if you have E1 Orchestrator skills tucked under your belt, you'll be good.
Wonderful. Well, again, I really appreciate your time, Janelle, and everyone for joining us. Again, we have a webinars page, and this will be available on our webinars page on our website tomorrow. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. If you've gotten socked with some winter snow, be careful out there. If not, have a great rest of your day and week. And thanks again, Janelle.
Mike.
Yep.
Thanks,
take
Mike.
it easy.
Thanks, everybody. All right. Bye-bye.